So for this problem, we're going to approach it the same way. I have an x cubed, so I should be getting about 3 answers. Whenever I have so many terms like this, I like to look at the total terms, see if there's anything I can pull out GCF-wise. I cannot. They all don't have an x. They aren't all divisible by 2 or 7. So I'm just going to factor by grouping. Group the front 2, and I can pull an x squared out front. Group the back 2, and I can pull out a negative 100, leaving me with 7x minus 2. And now that I have the same grouping, I'm going to pull it out front as well. So now that I have something times something to give me 0, just like with a quadratic, I'm going to solve these two individual problems. So I get x to be 2/7. Over here, I solved this one out a little bit better than the last example we did. We have a positive number over here, so x would be plus or minus 10. So my answers for this would be 2/7, comma, 10, comma, negative 10. You're not going to find that plus or minus button in there when you're entering your answer on the computer, so you'll just have to list them out, separate them by commas. On number 3, we get a little more intense, but I want to show you some kind of side stuff as I go to kind of help you with this. The first thing I want to notice is, see how we have these fractions going on? What you want to do is you want to find a common denominator to work it. So I'm going to show you a quick little fraction trick that works with adding or subtracting any two given fractions. I'm just going to use a over b plus or minus c over d, just given two fractions, how I could work with them. So the trick says that you can multiply a times d. Whatever sign's here, if it's addition, put addition. If it's subtraction, put subtraction. B, C, all over, you multiply this way, B, D. I mean, this even works in the case of just adding, or we'll do adding. Adding or subtraction two fractions, I can multiply this way, which would give me 7. Multiply this way, so I have to say plus 2. All over multiply this way gives me 14. So 9 over 14 would be the addition of these two fractions. It's a nice little trick. You don't really learn it until you get into with these polynomials and working with variables, because we want you to understand that this is the greatest common divisor between the two, or like this is the GCD. How do I figure out, the denominator that would be a 2 and a 7, least common multiple, excuse me. And so over here, I'm going to do that little trick. I'm going to multiply this way, which would give me 2 times x plus 2. Whatever signs are here minus, I'm going to multiply this way. 8 times x minus 8. I'm going to keep it in parentheses so I get it multiplied times the whole thing. All over, multiply on the bottom. Now I did all that. Let me go ahead and just kind of clean up the top here. So this gives me a 2x plus 4 minus 8x plus 64 all over x minus 8, x plus 2. I'm not going to multiply that out right now. And I'm going to clean this up. So this gives me negative 6x plus 68 over x minus 8, x plus 2 equal to 1. Okay, so I did all I knew how to do. I put those two together. Now the last step is I need to get rid of all these fractions. And I know you'll be relieved when I do this. This is being divided by this. So if I multiply by this on both sides, this would cancel, and then it would end up over here. So now I'm looking at the problem of negative 6x plus 68 equal to x minus 8 times x plus 2. I'm going to FOIL that out. So I get x squared minus 8x plus 2x minus 16. And I'm going quickly, I know, because you should know how to multiply this together. You FOIL it out, combine like terms. And you'll notice this negative 6x plus 68 is just going along for the ride. So you see here, after all that work, and I know you're probably stressed after seeing all that, you finally get a quadratic. And so I'm just going to solve the quadratic. So I'm going to add 6x over to the other side, which actually cancels. Subtract the 68, and I get 0 equal to x squared minus 84. And now I'm back to what I was doing kind of in the second half of 1.4. So I'm going to move the 84 over and square root. So I get x equal to plus or minus the square root of 84. You can go to your calculator, type in the square root of 84. And it gives me a not so nice number. So one more thing we're going to have to do. That's kind of an all-inclusive problem here. I'm going to take 84 and I'm going to break it down. I'm thinking, okay, what will multiply to give me 84? And so this gives me 12 and 7. 7 is prime. Break this down. And so this would be equivalent to 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. So if we're taking square root, we can pull this out front, giving us a final answer of x equal to plus or minus 2 square roots of 3 times 7, which is 21. So this would be my final answer. So I know these problems have been more intense than other problems that we have done, but as long as you'll go slow, show your work, do each little step as you go, reevaluate what you know to do, what you can do. Don't get overwhelmed with the whole problem. Yeah, looking at this all together, that's overwhelming. But you are smart enough, you are good enough, you can do this. If you run into any trouble along the way, please Canvas message me and I'll be happy to help.